recruiters, and we've been speaking a lot recently. We've got like a lot of topics that we're going to cover over the next couple of weeks, and a lot of it we disagree on, which we thought you might find interesting. And we thought we could have some debates, a great debate. That's what this is. And today we're going to talk about permission-based openers. We have some people on the call who think they're a great idea. We have some people on the call that think they're not so great idea. So I think we could start with just, what is a permission-based opener? So if we just start there, and I think the best description would be, it's at the start of a cold call where you kind of say, "Hey, I'm interrupting your day. Do you have 30 seconds?" Mace, would you agree that that's kind of what it is?
In a nutshell, yes. There's multiple ways you could kind of frame it, and there's different word usage you can use, but essentially, yes.
Okay, awesome. Anything on that you want to add, Tyler? Are you kind of thinking that's what it is?
Yeah, till somebody comes up with the 28 second, 29 second. Yeah, that was good.
Awesome. So today, Michael Mason, also known as Mace, is going to be in favor of permission-based openers, and Mr. Tyler Witt is going to be against. So what we're going to do is we're going to give each of these individuals 2 minutes on the clock to present their case, and we're just going to have a very quick chat at the end of it. So, Michael Mason, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got three reasons why I believe the permission-based approach is effective, and I've got one ace in the hole as well too. That I'll
Okay.
wrap this all up with, right? So we'll start pretty simple and easy, right? So the first reason why I believe in the permission-based approach today is one, if they say no to, hey, I know I'm an interruption. Can I have 24 seconds or 30 seconds? By the way, the seconds is arbitrary. It really doesn't make a difference, right? In all likelihood, they were going to say no, no matter what your approach was. I use the line all the time that, Scorsese, he could write your script. And it doesn't matter in sales, right? More times than not, you're going to get a no regardless of what it was you said, because in fact, we know what it is. We know it's an interruption. We know most people don't want to take a sales call, right? That's just the nature of the beast. You're going to get more no's than you get yeses. You know, back in our day together, we used to have that the 2%, right? Only about 2% of calls ultimately result in the outcome we're looking for. So we know we're going to get no's no matter what we say. Second reason I believe in the permission based selling approach is if they do say no, you do have an opportunity to respond. So you can respond with something, whether it be, is this just a bad time, or do you not take unsolicited sales calls like this?
Mm.
Right? Which is going to open it up for some kind of a dialogue or conversation potentially. You very well could still get no, I'm just not interested, click. But you do open it up for the potential to actually engage in what the real reason is. Maybe it is because you caught the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation in the middle of, a conversation with someone or coming out of a meeting or going into another one, and you can parlay that into scheduling some time to have a meeting when he's not, predisposed.
Yeah.
So third reason, this is about the yes, right? If they say yes, go for it. 24 seconds, 30 seconds, you're on the clock. Whatever their response is, you get their full and undivided attention during your pitch. This is important because they're listening with intent now, right? And they're not waiting for you to be quiet so that they can just hang up on you. So when they respond to your ask at the end of your pitch, which you should be asking, right, assumptively to schedule some time with them to show you what you found, what we do, whatever our product or service is, so on and so forth, either you're going to get the meeting booked in or you're going to get an objection that's more specific. And the more specific that objection is, the more of an opportunity you're going to have to engage in conversation and give yourself an opportunity to overcome. So those are my big three right there, right? If they say no, in all likelihood, they were going to say no no matter what it was your approach was. Also, it'll give you an opportunity to respond with, hey, did I catch you at a bad time? Or what, you don't take unsolicited sales calls. I had a chance, no way. Third reason is, again, full, undivided attention. They're going to listen with intent, give you an opportunity to make your presentation, try to get that meeting booked in. My ace up my sleeve is I have
Oh,
data to back up my claims.
okay.
So after looking at over 80,000 cold calls to CEOs, 4,400 actual pickups. So we know most CEOs are not picking up the phone anyway. But over 4,400 pickups, again, a lion's share of them ended in, hang-ups before you could even get your pitch out. right? Lots of no's. I know of a team of sales SDR, sales development representatives, right, that have booked over 150 meetings out of those 4,400 pickups for a 3.39 conversion. And again, if we say your average cold caller is closing somewhere around 1 to 2%, that means that over 3%, what is that? It's more than double, right? Your average cold caller. So I'll take those numbers.
Okay.
So that's my case for why I believe the permission-based approach is effective.
All right. Thank you, Mace. Solid. Love the numbers too. Mr. Tyler.
I was worried there when you said you had data. I thought you were going to pull data, not anecdotal information. So you had me on the back foot there for a second. But yeah, I mean, so what the three things I would say is basically this. So number one is, in all reality, like they're just done to death. The biggest thing I have just out the gates with it is like they're done to death now. I remember first hearing of this, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I came across it online, and somebody's like, yep, call in, and you kind of jump with this opener. But now, and it's like, oh, that's worth a shot. I'll give that a try. But now it just seems everybody's doing it, like all the podcasts, all the books, all the little how to book more meetings, and it's just done to death now. And I make the joke all the time is somebody's like, oh yeah, 30 seconds. This guy's like, oh no, you want to have a pattern interruption, so you do 29 seconds. It's like, well, it's great until somebody comes out with 28 seconds, right? And then 27. It's just, so that's my number one thing. I do think they're a little bit done to death. Number two, like you just got to come to grips with it. You're going to interrupt their day. Like you are interrupting their day. And so I think from a salesperson's perspective, what it's really doing is it's coming from a place of insecurity, right? Like they don't have the confidence. They don't have the, at that point, they just don't have that self-esteem around cold calling. And so I think it's a Band-Aid over what the real problem is that they're just not comfortable making the call, getting into the pitch. I guess for me, the last thing would really be this is, if I'm being honest, I think it's just a weak version of collecting yes. So we've always heard, right, when I make a cold call, right, when I do sales, right, the old school sales, I want to collect my yeses. So I make a, call into somebody. I'm going to say, hey, is this, Michael Mason? Can you give me yes? Are you the VP? Yes, I am. Do you do this? Yes, right. I'm kind of collecting my yeses. And that's a very tried and true kind of sales method. There's a lot of other things I do differently, Mason, as you all know, in terms of introducing the problem, capturing their attention. And I just think this is a weak version of that collect my yes, right? Coming from a place of insecurity. And that's my true belief in it. I think a true sales pro can call in, speak to that person, like with authority, get them to say, yep, this, yeah, I am the CEO. Awesome. Well, hey, here's the reason I'm calling, and get into it and sound. And I think the lie we tell ourselves is that it gets them to be interested. Oh, they're going to give me that, undivided attention. No, they're not. You're still to you and your message. And all it does is it buys you maybe a couple extra seconds to get something out, but still the way you sound, how you say it. And if all you're doing for the next 20, 30 seconds is pitching, you've lost a sale anyway. You shouldn't be in sales regardless, because within the first 5, 10 seconds, I should be getting that person to be able to engage back with me with at least 1 or 2 questions. So the big things to me, as I say, is just number one, I just think they're overdone. Number 2, just get over it. You're interrupting somebody's day, right? And then the last thing for me is really just, yes, you got to collect your yes, but get in there, get a conversation going. And I think of the demo or meeting. I would never call somebody. I would never call and say, hey, Phil, is now still a good time? I would never. I would just say, oh, hey, Phil, looking forward to speaking with you, blah, blah, blah. So I did some homework and I'd get into it and I'd have a polite, positive conversation. So why on a cold call would I do anything different? So that to me is kind of the big things, and I think that once somebody is skilled enough at cold calling and they don't need these little gimmicks at the beginning, right? If you need a gimmick, it's a crutch anyway. So as my friend, who was it? Oh, Michael Mason always says, don't wish you were easier, wish you were better. That was my ace of my hole.
So,
Ace of my sleeve.
Well said.
So some great points there from really from both sides. And you know, there's a lot of content out there and podcasts and stuff like that where everybody's agreeing with each other. It's like an echo chamber. So it's great to actually just get on a short call and just kind of hear out people that disagree with each other and hear their points. So and we talked about it before this call. There's very few facts in sales. There's, you know, some opinions. There's even some stronger opinions. You know, so there's no right or wrong. And I don't think it's a question of do permission-based openers work. It's a question of, do they work for you? Is it your style? Is it your pitch? Is it your, you know, part of your business process? And, you know, a lot of what I heard was, you know, Tyler's point is it based out of fear? Mace's point is it's based out of, you know, respect for their time, but actually there's a huge psychological advantage whether you do it or not. You know, sometimes I think just getting straight in, there's an advantage to it. You respect their time. Sometimes actually asking for 38 seconds or 20 seconds or however long you're asking for. But I think there's value to both, really. You know, and if you have a big enough team, or if you know, have a chance to get 2 data sets, a week or 2 of non-permission based openers, a week or 2 with them, you know, so I think there's you know, there's valid arguments on both sides. But I'm going to ask you for one final closing argument, one sentence, Mace. What have you got for us on both sides? Maybe actually we'll go Tyler first, because we went the other way first last time.
Yeah, I not just a one sentence, but I do agree with that. Is, you know, the most important thing is that when you try something, try it for a long period of time so that you can get data back on it. Do not change, like if you're making a call and the next day trying something different, that's not how it works. You have to get really good at one thing. So to me, whichever one, try one, do it for a month before you try the other, not just a day or 2. I think that's the important part. Both can work, try them both, but give them enough time to really get enough data back to be useful.
Good point.
And my one point, it was going to be very similar, and it's don't knock it until you try it. Right?
Okay.
And to Tyler's point, try it with intent, right? Really nail that, you know, that permission-based approach, right? Be very intentional about what words you're using and use it enough times. Give yourself enough at-bats to work the kinks out of it and to have enough data to be able to measure whether or not it actually does work. Again, you know, I think my ace in the sleeve is I actually have data. I've got an SDR team that uses this religiously with great results, and they were very resistant at first, right? Because it, you know, in a lot of ways, it is counter.
Nah.
Yeah, exactly, right. Try to teach them a new trick, and you know, yeah, they were resistant, but they can't argue with the results, right? When you've got SDRs that are booking 30, 40 meetings a month that stick with CEOs at that, you can't tell me that's not going to boost their confidence.
Very hard to argue
You
with
can't tell
that.
them it doesn't work, right? So, you know,
Right. Which came first, though? Was it the confidence or the opener? Right? Because the opener will get you to the pitch, but doesn't get you the sticky, and people show up because they're booking good meetings. So it does tell me that they're adding valuable content after that as well.
100%. Oh yeah, it's one. You're right. It's one element of a larger puzzle for sure.
Yeah, it'll get you in the fight, won't necessarily win you the fight.
Absolutely.
Brilliant, guys. Thanks a lot. Great content. See you later. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. See ya.